The Galactic Senate chamber had never been silent before. Even during declarations of extinction, trade collapses, and sector-wide rebellions, someone always whispered, argued, or laughed. But now, as the transmission from Earth played across every towering holoscreen, not a single delegate moved. Humanity's message contained no threats, no shouting, no demands for mercy. Only a single sentence spoken by a calm human voice. You should have left us alone. The war had started months earlier on the edge of explored space, where human mining colonies operated in isolation near the Perseus Rift. Those colonies were small, barely defended, and politically unimportant to the larger galaxy. The Dravari Dominion believed they could seize the systems without resistance. They expected frightened settlers, weak patrol ships, and a quick surrender. Instead, they found abandoned colonies, sabotaged infrastructure, and invisible attackers that hunted them through the darkness. Entire Dravari battalions vanished inside tunnels humans had built beneath frozen moons. At first, the Senate dismissed the incidents as border instability. The Dravari were powerful, aggressive, and proud. They often exaggerated victories and concealed losses. But then came the images from Outpost K-12. The station drifted lifeless above a red gas giant, its hull carved open from the inside. Every Dravari soldier aboard had disappeared. The only thing remaining was a message burned into the command deck wall. Leave our people alone. The Dominion responded with fury instead of caution. Grand Marshal Vakar ordered planetary strikes against every known human settlement near the rift. Cities burned beneath orbital bombardments. Millions fled into underground shelters while Dominion fleets declared total occupation. Across the galaxy, alien governments watched with detached interest. Humanity had always been quiet, distant, and strange. Most believed Earth would surrender quickly. They did not understand humanity at all. For nearly 2 weeks, Earth remained silent. No ambassadors appeared before the Senate. No retaliatory fleets entered Dominion territory. No speeches filled the networks. Some senators even mocked humanity's fear. The Dominion celebrated early victory parades while captured human banners were dragged through Imperial streets. Then the listening stations went dark. One by one, Dominion communications arrays vanished across 6 sectors. Entire fleets lost contact with command. Cargo routes collapsed overnight. Massive warships emerged from hyperspace with their crews dead, and their reactors surgically destroyed. Nobody saw the attackers arrive. Nobody survived long enough to explain what happened. Admiral Sorev of the Dominion's 3rd Fleet finally encountered the human navy near the shattered moon of Etris. His fleet outnumbered the humans nearly 4-1. Dominion officers expected another easy slaughter. Instead, human ships moved like predators through a storm, silent and impossibly fast. Their weapons ignored shielding technology the galaxy had relied upon for centuries. One human cruiser cut through 3 Dominion battleships before disappearing back into the void. The battle lasted 11 minutes. Not a single Dominion ship escaped. Panic spread faster than war itself. Refugee convoys flooded neutral territories. Merchant alliances suspended travel near human-controlled systems. Rumors grew darker with every retelling. Some claimed humans had awakened forbidden artificial intelligences. Others whispered they had weaponized black holes. Entire worlds stared at the stars in fear, waiting for the next disaster. On Earth, however, the people remained calm. Factories beneath mountains worked day and night. Ancient shipyards hidden beneath oceans reopened for the first time in centuries. Human soldiers trained in silence while civilians volunteered by the millions. There were no riots, no public hysteria. Humanity moved with terrifying unity, as though this war had been expected all along. The Senate demanded negotiations before the conflict consumed the galaxy. They invited Earth's representative to speak before the assembly. Ambassador Elias Ward arrived alone, wearing a simple black uniform without medals or rank insignia. He stood before thousands of alien delegates who expected rage or desperation. Instead, he looked tired. "You mistook our silence for weakness," he said quietly. "You mistook our restraint for fear." The chamber remained frozen. "We avoided your wars for 200 years. We ignored your insults. We tolerated piracy against our borders. We endured because humanity learned long ago what happens when conflict becomes total." Elias looked directly toward the Dravari delegation. "But your Dominion crossed the line when you targeted civilians." One Dravari senator rose furiously. "You dare threaten us in this chamber?" Elias met his eyes without emotion. "No," he answered. "I'm explaining why your fleets are disappearing." The transmission spread across every inhabited world within hours. Fear followed immediately afterward. Dominion colonies began evacuating entire populations. Governors abandoned frontier systems without orders. Military commanders begged the Senate for united intervention against Earth before the humans reached the Dominion core worlds. But it was already too late. Human strike groups emerged across Dominion territory simultaneously. They bypassed heavily defended borders and targeted infrastructure instead. Power grids failed. Shipyards detonated from internal sabotage. Military academies vanished beneath precision orbital attacks. Humanity wasn't conquering planets. They were dismantling the Dominion piece by piece, ensuring it could never threaten another civilization again. Grand Marshal Vakar refused surrender. He appeared across Dominion networks promising glorious victory and the extermination of humanity. His speech ended abruptly when alarms erupted throughout the Imperial capital. Thousands looked skyward as human warships descended through the clouds directly above the palace district. The shields never activated. Human soldiers stormed the capital with ruthless efficiency. They advanced through streets engulfed in smoke while Dominion defenses collapsed around them. Witnesses later described the humans not as enraged conquerors, but as cold professionals carrying out a sentence decided long ago. Vakar tried to flee aboard a hidden cruiser beneath the palace. He almost escaped. Almost. The humans intercepted his ship before it reached orbit. The Grand Marshal was returned alive to the very Senate chamber, where he once demanded humanity's extinction. Every delegate watched as the defeated warlord was forced to witness recordings of the colonies his fleets had destroyed. For the first time in decades, Vakar looked afraid. Earth could have erased the Dominion entirely. Their fleets surrounded the remaining core systems while human weapons targeted every military installation left standing. Billions waited for the final order. It never came. Instead, humanity transmitted a ceasefire declaration across the galaxy. "We did not come for genocide," Elias Ward announced. "We came to end the people responsible." The Dominion government collapsed within days. Surviving worlds surrendered unconditionally to Senate oversight, while human fleets withdrew back toward their own territory. The war that had terrified the galaxy ended not with annihilation, but with silence. Weeks later, senators walked through the ruins of destroyed colonies near the Perseus Rift. They saw burned homes, shattered shelters, and graves carved into frozen ground. Only then did many finally understand the mistake the galaxy had made. Humanity had never wanted war, but once pushed beyond the line, they became something the stars themselves feared, and the galaxy would never again forget the final warning humanity left echoing across every world. "You should have left us alone." Long after the ceasefire, strange stories began spreading through the outer systems. Traders claimed human patrol ships escorted refugee convoys without asking for payment. Survivors from occupied colonies spoke of human medics treating wounded enemy civilians beside their own soldiers. The galaxy struggled to understand how the same species capable of terrifying destruction could also show restraint when vengeance would have been easier. In the shattered remains of the Dominion capital, investigators uncovered the secret archives of Grand Marshal Vakar. Hidden beneath layers of military encryption were records proving the war had never been about territory at all. The Dominion leadership had feared humanity's growing independence, their rapid technological evolution, and their refusal to join Senate-controlled alliances. Vakar believed humanity would one day surpass every major power in the galaxy. His solution had been simple: destroy them before they became unstoppable. Instead, he had created the very future he feared. Earth emerged from the war stronger than ever. Independent systems that once distrusted humanity now sought alliances and trade agreements. Worlds abandoned by the Senate during Dominion invasions openly sided with Earth, believing humans were the only power willing to protect weaker civilizations without demanding control in return. Slowly, the balance of power across the galaxy began to shift. The Senate itself nearly fractured under the weight of public outrage. Citizens from dozens of species demanded answers for why the Dominion's atrocities had been ignored for so long. Some senators resigned. Others disappeared entirely after corruption investigations exposed decades of secret cooperation with Dominion military interests. For the first time in centuries, the old political order faced collapse. Yet humanity made no attempt to seize control. That frightened the galaxy even more. A species hungry for conquest could be predicted. Empires always followed familiar patterns. But humans rebuilt their colonies, honored their dead, and quietly returned to their borders as though nothing needed proving. They didn't celebrate victory with monuments or propaganda. They simply carried on, leaving the rest of the galaxy wondering what humanity might become if they ever truly desired domination. Among military circles, recordings from the Battle of Etris became mandatory study material. Analysts replayed the 11-minute slaughter frame by frame, trying desperately to understand human tactics. They found no reckless heroics, no emotional rage, no chaotic aggression. Every movement had been calculated with terrifying precision. Human commanders fought wars the way surgeons performed operations, cold, efficient, and absolute. One surviving Dominion officer later testified before the Senate. The worst part wasn't losing, he whispered. It was realizing the humans were holding back the entire time. In the years that followed, children across countless worlds learned about the human Dominion War in school academies. Some teachers described it as a warning against arrogance. Others called it the moment the galaxy finally understood the cost of provoking humanity. But among ordinary citizens, one phrase endured above all others. You crossed the line. It became more than a sentence. It became a caution repeated by diplomats, admirals, and rulers whenever conflicts threatened escalation. Entire civilizations adjusted their policies around humanity, careful never to repeat the Dominion's mistake. Even pirate factions avoided human trade lanes, knowing Earth responded to attacks with relentless finality. Deep within the memorial halls beneath New Geneva on Earth, the names of every lost colonist were carved into black stone walls stretching farther than most visitors could walk in a single day. No speeches echoed there. No triumphant music played. Only silence remained. Human veterans often stood before those names for hours without speaking, remembering exactly why the war had happened. And somewhere beyond the borders of explored space, human fleets continued to expand quietly into the dark between stars, not as conquerors, but as a civilization the galaxy had finally learned to fear.